So I have some thoughts.
That's
Considering
interesting because I have thoughts as well.
considering we don't do a discussion on this, I feel like I have to say them now. All right, first of all, like, where do we go from here is my question, right? Because it's like, yeah, let me do that too. Where do we go from here is my question, right? Like, because I said this earlier in the season when it was like, okay, we beat the human squad, right? And recruited some of them. And I'm like, okay, what's the next step, right? It's got to be the nobles, because like, who else is going to scale? And I'm like, we got to see. And then, and I was like, okay, and it's probably going to be up to the other guys and not Rai exclusively to have to deal with them, because Rai is dying, like, right? He's setting them all up. But now we've got to like who would appear to be the strongest style of characters, the nobles, the Lord within the story. They are quite literally no match for Rai. I mean, you could argue like, yeah, when she unlocked it, she gave him a scratch, but like, I don't know. Rai literally didn't even take a step the entire fight.
It actually took Rai more effort to fight the nigga that made him cough up blood than it did the Lord.
Yeah. So there's that. And then he seems to be fine. And then all the nobles are like hunky-dory and everyone's going to go drink tea and like play in the sunshine. Mm-hmm. Where do we go from here? What is the next biggest threat? Aliens? Because that's like my only thing. Like, what is it? Is it my prediction is it's got to be it, you know, depending on where they go, it has to be infighting, right? With the nobles, I would assume. But then and then like Rai has to be out of this story at that point. Otherwise, it's like, what is going on? I don't know. Back me up here. What do you got?
So first off, this was the worst episode of Noblesse we've ever watched, in my opinion, 100%. Because the way that it wraps up this story in 22 minutes is like the definite, like that we just watched kind of like makes the God of High School anime look like, like that. It's terrible. That was terrible. Literally in 22 minutes, we had Rai confront the Lord. We had one fight with the Lord and Rai. Then Rai fights all of the, assistants or whatever to the Lord. Then the Lord fights him again. None of that fighting I would even actually justify as a fight, because it's just Rai slapping these niggas around any which way, because nobody can literally touch him or make him move. This man didn't even move.
Yeah, I think he jumped like once.
Yeah, he did a backflip because some nigga tied him up for 3 seconds. And then like, she's like, then there's this whole thing of like, oh, well, you've got to unlock your power, otherwise you'll never be able to actually fight him. But it's like, at some point, the story was trying to justify like why she's in this position and why she's fighting him. When it's like, we all know her backstory. We know the only reason she's doing this is because she basically, some nigga told her a rumor and she was like, oh, well, fuck this nigga. And like, fucking, made him a traitor and an enemy. And it, like, you cannot go from I'm going to kill you and everybody you know and love to like, what was my dad like? In 22 minutes. It just doesn't make sense. I literally was watching this and did not believe it. I'm if I don't believe it, there's no fucking way that these people believe it. That was terrible. That was terrible.
So I could see, just to provide a devil's advocate here, like a rebuttal and argument. Not that I think it's a kind of weak one, but I guess someone could argue that it's like her soft side, and that was always really within her. Like the hard ass thing was kind of a front, and is as in like she never really wanted to kill him. She never really wanted to be this kind of person, but because she thought that she needed to in order to be respected, like she did that. And because it's like, well, I'm jealous, so like, or I'm like, I'm salty about it, I gotta act like that. Not saying that that's where I'm coming from. I'm just saying I could see that, somebody commenting that. I think it's kind of weak, because I agree with you, because it's like having that whole character work.
And this is my point, is that why the pacing is what fucking killed this episode.
Yeah.
Because I imagine in the webtoon there's so much more time to space out her thoughts, and like how she goes from maybe hearing this rumor to like seeing evidence of it, maybe, or like seeing something that corroborates her that rumor.
Sure.
To then like, oh fuck, it's got to be true. To then enlisting all the nobles to go after Rai as a traitor, like, and then sort of her descent into that state of madness, and then like clearing it up. But all of that happens, dude, it feels like in like boom, boom, boom. Like she has 3 states. It's like, Rai betrayed me. I'm going to kill Rai. Just kidding. I actually really fuck with him now because like my dad came in outside of a sword and told me like everything's fine. And it's like, what the fuck is happening,
in his
bro?
nightgown. That was,
and then like,
go ahead.
This whole thing with like, again, when she gets knocked down by Rai, and Rai is presumably probably going to knock her the fuck out. Even Rai is not like trying to kill any of these niggas, although he easily could. they all like jump to her aid and they're like, don't worry, we got your back, Lord. Like, we've been through so much like thick and thin together. And it's like, but you know she's in the wrong. That's like some nigga stealing from somebody and then being like, whoa, you can't hurt him. We stole this thing together. I got your back. Yeah. It's like, you're all wrong, though. You can't make me try to feel sympathy for her when she's clearly wrong. And again, if the motivation was like, she believed this rumor and then like there was somebody falsified evidence, like fortified that rumor. But like, if the only reason I'm supposed to acknowledge that she hates Rai to the point of death is because she's jealous of him, you can't tell me that like these other nobles are like, yeah, that checks out to me. Let's kill. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
My thing personally, my biggest gripe with the whole thing was when her father comes out of the sword in his nightgown and basically starts spitting what his reasonings were.
And literally put sprinkles on the plot and it's like, oh, wow, we all are fighting here. Let me just clear this up.
Yeah. And it was like, first of all, his reasoning seemed very loose at best. Did not really seem to have like a solid grounding for that. Like, not to mention, I mean, and you could argue semantics like, well, he had to do it for this. And whether I disagree or agree, I guess is not necessarily the main point. Although, again, I think that was very silly the way he went about it and whatever. But also then how Gestol, or whatever his name is, handles it after the fact, where he's like, I'll trust you, the oldest one here, because you're the only one that looks remotely old and we live into like the thousands of years. I had to kill myself in order to stop aging right now. You've been around since the dinosaurs. Like, you have had to be around since the dawn of time. I trust you to be able to handle this. And he goes, you got it. And then the second he leaves, he literally reverts everything back to like what it was. And nobody grows from that situation. He lets her harbor that resentment. He lies to everyone. And then he's like, well, there's going to be a bunch of infighting. And it's like, yeah, no shit. That's why he was like letting you be the guy to try and navigate that and be like a peacekeeper.
Like, nigga, you were supposed to be the Jiraiya of this group, bro. You were supposed to like let these niggas know and pass on the goodwill, not be like that. I literally feel like the Lord died, bro. And he was like, now Gestel, like, you got this, right? If I go, like, I got to know somebody's here keeping the reins. And he's like, you got it, boss. I will not let this shit fall to the wayside. And then the second that nigga's body got cold, bro, that chick came up and she was like, yo, is Rizel going to be the new Lord? Like, why the fuck is this happening? Does he just hate me? And he was like,
yeah, he also probably betrayed that guy. Those rumors, he's like, I don't know if they're true or not, but we should assemble an army to go hunt him down.
Yeah, and she's like, I think I'm going to become the Lord instead, and I'm just going to banish him as a traitor. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stop this. You literally know the truth. Stop this from happening. Why? And then so my other thing is people are like, oh, because again, I'm already like seeing comments. It's like people are like, oh, well, she's the Lord. She has her thought process. Like, she has authority over everybody's opinion, like basically everybody's opinions, no matter what they think or if they try to reason with her. But again, from that scene we saw where he's like, you've got to take my life because I've been lying to everybody, which is 100% his fault, and probably should have got him that penalty. She's like, oh, I could never kill you. And it's like, A, you were totally about to kill this nigga before Rai walked in the door, so I kind of have a hard time believing that. But B, if you cared about that nigga so much, regardless who you are, Lord or not, if he was the one telling you that that's not true, why the fuck would you believe him?
I personally think, I don't think she ever wanted to kill him personally, the way I see it. I think she was just trying to up the keep the facade going that he had conjured or helped conjure for her, where it's like, she needs to come off as strong and nobody mess with me and we need a common enemy and I need people to like really have my back here. And I think he was perpetuating that, and because, I mean, totally wrong in my opinion. But I think personally that like she still had that young girlish thing in her and she never wanted to kill him, hence why she was dragging it out to like the 10th hour, and and then put him in that room, and it's like, oh, like you gave me this priority to like be in the room. Sure. I think that was my issue. Again, was more on, if I'm pronouncing his name right, like Gestel or something, Gestel or whatever. My beef with that was that the fact again that he just straight up lied to everyone, and then instead of like trying to remedy it, he's like, "There's no way out of this. Kill me." You know what I mean? Like he's so willing to keep up that facade, but the whole point of the father killing himself is like, we need to evolve, because you know what happens when we all live for this long? There's a bunch of infighting. We need to like pick sides. Everyone gets subjugated. It's like,
seeped into like our tradition.
That's weird, because the same exact thing happened the second you bit it. Like you know what I mean? I'm like, what? So I go, and then he's like, instead of telling the truth,
it makes the Lord kind of look incompetent, because he's like, you know what? Like, things are going kind of fucked up here. I'm just gonna have to off myself. And it's like, actually, nigga, things are pretty fine right now.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if you kill yourself, and then things go to shit, it's like that things could not have been that bad for you to want to kill yourself because they went to shit after you ate it.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, and it's like, again, my thing is like, you know, that's all well and fair with the Lord, you know, the girl, where it's like, okay, she never really, you know, actually wanted to kill anybody, whatever. But it's like, okay, to be honest though, then everything feels pointless because like it just makes it feel like this episode knew that it only had 22 minutes to wrap up the entirety of this plot, and they were like, all right, niggas, let's go. Come on, like break neck. And she's like, I'm good. And like, guys, we gotta be like halfway through this fight by now. Let's go, pick it up. Just spew your motivation. You guys, like, we'll do a little like skirmish here. Like you know, everybody, I need plot points. Closed. Let's go. Come on. And it's like that's literally what it felt like because there was no time to get into anything. There was no time to explain anything. Everybody's like motivations and desires and actions literally were like. There was no like breathing room for anything to feel real or like it mattered. That's the thing. It's like if that was her whole thing, it's like then why the fuck did you do this? If you were never like, it was one thing if you were so jealous you were gonna kill him and then like you kill him or whatever, and then you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. I regret it. But if your intention was never to kill him, then you're just fucking wasting time. You're wasting my goddamn time because you're just dragging these niggas around the castle. You're pretending this facade of gonna kill him. You're trying to fight somebody who you have no business fighting because every fucker in this building knows that the Noblesse can't fucking be beat. So you're just wasting my goddamn time. And I feel disrespected, and I'm a little fucking hurt. This episode was trash,
dude. Yeah, man. I'd have to agree. This is not the brightest hour.
Again, for anybody watching this that is a fan of the Webtoon, I'm sure the Webtoon handles the pacing much better.
If you made it this far.
Yeah. First off, congrats. But like, I don't know. I honestly don't know if what was worse, this or the God of High School anime. The way first off, both of them now make Tower God anime look like a fucking an A+ student in comparison. But it's like, what are they doing?
I don't know,
they get to the ends of these anime adaptations and like, oh fuck, there's still this many chapters.
Yeah,
all right, just
it's like how much do you have to cut before you're like, is this even worth it? You know what I mean? To animate, it's like if we could only have 13 episodes, we can't have 24. We know there's this much material. It's like, how confident are you that this is actually going to land? Like, are you like, because they had to be confident that like this could be a banger? Because it's like, why would you make a subpar show knowing it's a subpar show? I guess because it's like people are going to eat it up, but it's like you can only provide that illusion for so long. Like, I think the thing that happened with this and the God of High School, in my personal opinion, the God of High School, my opinion, like the first 4 or 5 episodes, I actually liked quite a bit. Not, again, going in blind, not knowing what was happening in tournament. And with this, I liked the first couple episodes. I like when we had the human interaction, can't remember his name, but the red-haired kid and his friend from the school. Don't even get me started on that, because oh my God. But, like those were okay, but then it just like the illusion gets broken where it's like, what are we doing here? And then you realize it's like they're trying to cram so much in, or maybe in this case it wasn't that bad, like where the God of High School was like the worst travesty.
It actually feels like,
I don't know.
It actually feels like this had the opposite problem, where it's like if God of High School had so many chapters to cram into some episodes, it feels like they didn't have enough. Because now that I'm thinking back on it, dude, a lot of the middle episodes of this anime is them just fucking around and waiting in the city to go to Ludonia or whatever the fuck it's called. So it's like they were just like, well, we need to be in Ludonia, but that shit doesn't happen until the end of this arc. So like, I don't know, we'll hang out in the city. We'll do, this kid wants to date, Sarah. Let's just like make up. And it's like, we're just again, you're just wasting my time.
Yeah, I don't know how much better. I would assume the webtoons, generally speaking, have been better than their anime counterparts for good reason. So I would assume this would be no different. And I don't want to sound ignorant or arrogant. And again, it's opinion, but I do wonder how much better the webtoon is if that was the problem. Because I feel like that was one of the, like, beyond it totally warping the entirety of the plot. Like one of the complaints with Tower of God was that, and this is one where we watched the anime first. It was at the end, it was like, it wasn't necessarily the cutting so much as it was like the character motivations and things like that. God of High School didn't seem to me like the character motivations more. It seemed like the pacing, it was so rushed. And then in this case, if it was that scenario where it was like, it wasn't necessarily the cutting or the character motivation, like, what is it, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
how much better could the webtoon be? But again, I don't want to, you know, because I know there's probably some diehard webtoon stands out there, and I don't know. We've read the first 50 chapters, and I thoroughly enjoyed those.
Yeah,
Again,
I
it was
did.
pretty
And it's-
early in the story, so
Yeah,
I don't know how things shook
it's
out
like-
later, but...
To be honest, like, I feel bad for diehard Noblesse fans because it's like, you know, and I know some people, and I get it, who are like, to be honest, I'm just happy that we have a Noblesse anime.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm a huge Noblesse webtoon fan, so the fact that there is an anime, like, I just enjoy the fact that there's an anime. And if you honestly do, that's totally fine. You can, you know, that's not like there's no rule that's saying you can't. But I personally, like, I'd feel cucked, bro. I would hate, like, because this is such a disservice to the, like, because again, we've only read the first 50 chapters, but it's like, even in watching this shittily rushed version, I know that, like, this could be better. I know that, like, you could do better. And like you said, I'm sure that the webtoon version of the story does do it better. So it always begs the question in my mind is like, why are you fucking this up so hard? It, honestly, not that I fucking have ever put an anime together, but it doesn't seem that hard. It's like, you just, if you see that you don't have enough material, adjust the story to fit that. If you have too much, adjust, like,
and if you know that, and if you think, and again, I say this probably ignorantly, because I say, if you know you can't do it, then don't do it. Obviously they thought they could do it, so they did it, you know, and it came out poorly, but like, I'm just saying, you gotta be pretty confident.
That's what I'm saying, because it comes down to like a confident understanding of, like, storytelling, but audience engagement and retention. If you're telling me that, like, somebody checked this shit before it went out and they were like, dude, that's a banger. We did it.
Yeah.
Fire that nigga. Because he clearly doesn't know how to do his goddamn job, bro. He watched this shit. You're telling me he watched this shit and, like, was not on his phone half the time or checking emails, and he's like, oh, the episode? Yeah, it's good. Send it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was not like, oh, fuck, dude, this is crazy. Because that was boring. That was actually kind of boring to watch. Like, it just blows my mind. And, like, again, you know, now we're talking like, oh, you know, the people who, these are probably like fucking, you know, studio heads and, like, you know, niggas who are so far disconnected from, like, the a viewer, you know what I mean? Like, that they don't even know or care. But it's like, I just blows my mind, bro, that, like, this was made by a professional company and studio, whatever, and that, like, other niggas watch this and we're like, yeah, send it out. This shit's gonna explode.
Yeah.
Niggas are gonna love the Noblesse anime. It's like, if I was a Noblesse fan, ooh, I would buy my way to your office.
You know what? I actually think you and I are probably in the, I would assume, the majority, because I see a lot of the comments with quite a few people saying, hey, you know, these were my problems with it. I'm not really a big fan of this. And then it's pretty 50-50. But I think most of the time it takes more to comment and say that you didn't like a show that you're a big fan, or a story that you're a big fan of, whereas like, it's very easy if you like it to comment and jazz it up even more. So the fact that it's even split down the middle makes me think that, because of the reasons I stated, that I would actually assume that quite a bit of people, at least half, don't actually like this adaptation. And I think it really comes down to, and it's like, not to be a bunch of Karens out there, but like, it does come down to fans to be like, yo, don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, this was bad, you know, like, to put, if that's your opinion, you know, like, if you genuinely thought it was good, you give it 5 stars. But if you thought it was bad, in that scenario, like, the older I get, I'm always like, oh, I'm never going to be that guy to, like, you know, put like a bad rating or something like that. But if it's like genuinely bad, where it's giving a disservice to your story, and you know people are going to watch this going in blind and don't want to read that webtoon at all now, then you should probably, you know, you should rate this as something that's like, or whatever, or like be vocal about that kind of stuff. So it's like that they're not just being like, because then they string you along and they're like, well, it's Noblesse, so Noblesse fans are just going to eat it up. Doesn't matter what we put. And like, you get the, well, we're just glad to have an anime, you know? And it's like, but like, how much are you willing to take and get slapped around before it's not even worth it to have the anime?
100%. It's literally, it's like, you, and like, I really, like, I get it, because it's not easy. Like, you can't love something and easily be like, oh yeah, but this thing about it was trash. Or like, it sucks to admit, like, that, like, something you like either has something about it that's bad, or a version of the story, whatever, is bad. But like, that's the only way, you know what I mean? If you doing anything else just lets the problem perpetuate itself, because then the studios that made this, the people that see your you know, your false rating or whatever, are like, oh, they did fuck with it. Okay, cool. Let's keep dishing out this half-ass shit, where it's like, you know, there's a huge, you know, this kind of parallels to like anime video games, like the industry, as far as like how the companies that make anime video games it's the same thing where they're like they're willing to just dish out half-baked video games with the fucking One Piece or Naruto name on it because they know that like that's what's selling the game and not the quality or the content. And it's like, but you have to let them know that like I'm not willing to take this, otherwise they'll never know and they'll just keep doing it. And it's like, I don't know how many more webtoons are going to get anime adaptations in the future, because at least to my knowledge, as of right now, no other ones have been announced, at least of webtoons that I know.
Nothing I'm aware of.
But like this is nuts. Like if we're, you know, I feel like again with Tower of God, personally, you know, I didn't have much of a gripe with the anime's adaptation as somebody who is now, you know, not only caught up, but much farther in the webtoon story. There's differences and there's cuts and stuff. But I do actually think all around it's a pretty good way to get the condensed version of that story. Got to high school. I honestly, after like the first 3 episodes, I kind of thought was pretty whack. And again, especially after getting caught up with the first season now, I heavily advertise the webtoon over the anime as far if you want like the better version of that story. And I would say the same thing for this. I haven't read the webtoon equivalent, but like, this is like literally if somebody was going to quiz you on Noblesse and you only had like a night to catch up on like what happened in the story, then I would be like, watch the anime, because it literally does that. It like straps you in a chair and just fucking presses the go button and like sends you.
We should have known what we were in for when they summed up the entirety of like the first season or whatever within 30 minutes, bro. Not even an hour. They went through that entire Jack arc where he like turns into the big thing.
And you know what's 30 minutes about this is like, part of the reason I'm so pissed off about this is because I actually really fuck with some of the characters, bro. I fucking love some of these characters. And, like, to watch them, like, get whipped around in this half-baked excuse for a story, it's like, oh, come on, bro. Like, I know.
Really? I think Frankie literally holds this show together. If he wasn't there, this whole show would have fell apart a while ago.
Oh, and then 100% Rye and Frankie are like the...
I don't even think Rye. Like, I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Okay.
No, well, I know Rye's like likable, and like I like Rye, but I don't think Rye... Like, I don't think Rye is as nearly as important within the... Well, let me phrase this in such a way that doesn't make me sound like I didn't really care about Rye. Let's just put it that way. Like, I thought Frankie's story beats and stuff were much more engaging because Rye was like literally One Punch Man style thing without the
I mean, like in terms of like the Noblesse story, like you have Frankie who sort of like develops as the story goes on.
Sure.
And he's your focal point.
Yeah.
But Rye is like the counterbalance to that. A, he's a lot of Frankie's motivation for why Frankie does things.
Yeah.
But B, he's also like the comedic relief a lot of time. Like he's the other end of the story.
I guess. Yeah. I feel like he's a supplement to Frankie to me.
No.
You know what I mean?
100%,
Like,
but it is, to me, it's like Frankie first, then Rye.
Yeah.
And I would actually give a couple points to Regis and Sarah. Not much, but like those 4, I would say the only characters in this whole story that like I actually fucked with.
Really? I liked well, at first, I mean, for a while I liked M21. I thought that his character development was actually pretty good
did really like
in
them,
at first.
Once
once he got irrelevant,
once they joined the squad, they became literally
useless.
Literally, I mean, they got a better, you know, treatment than the human characters. But once they joined that, like his team, they were nothing.
Yeah,
all their character shit went right out the window.
No, agreed.
And it's like those 4 for me, and again, really the other 2, it's like but like. I did really like those characters, but it's like they just got fucking shafted in this half-ass story.
Anyway, that may be the longest that we've ever went on a rant after a reaction ever, and probably will be the longest we ever go on.
Unless they make another shitty webtoon adaptation.
Yeah, here come the comments, but
honestly,
it is what it
though,
is.
Like if you are watching this video and you liked this anime, like deadass, tell me why. Put in the comments. This isn't like me trying to pick a fight. Like, I want to know, because I want to know if somebody watched this anime and they were like, yeah, no, that's good. Like, I felt for these characters and that was good pacing. And that's like, I'm just curious. And if you didn't, like, let me know the reasons, if you agree with our reasons or if you had different reasons. Because I need to know what, like, honestly, what people thought of this anime.
And not just coming off the rip being like, because I love these comments. That's a lie. I hate these comments. When people come off, you just don't get it. You don't understand. This is what you're missing. Like, blah, blah, blah. Like with an immediate thing where it's like, the reason I like this show is because you didn't get something. That's not gonna.
Yeah.
I promise you, I'm not gonna read your comment. Like if it's after that, because it's like
the other
in
thing,
a civil way. Let us know story beat wise and like the reasons that it's like. Well, I enjoyed this because at the end of the day, this is all opinion. It's subjective.
Yeah.
There are some objective beats that like maybe they did or didn't do, and we could get into that. But the point is like being civil about it, and we are genuinely curious because this is a show that we wanted to do very well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in our eyes, didn't.
Not,
so it'd be like nice to see what.
Obviously, there's gonna be stuff that we don't get because there's stuff that the anime cut out from the web.
Sure.
Right. So if there's character motivations, if there's monologues, if there's like some of that stuff, like again, not in a dickish way of like you just didn't see that because it wasn't in the anime. I promise you. I promise you, if there was more character backgrounds for these characters. I would have got it.
Keep it within the confines of the anime if possible. Try your hardest, even if you're caught up with the webtoon, to not use that as like your guiding pole, like things that happen after or scenes that we didn't see or something like that. Because again, we read the first 50 chapters, but that literally doesn't even, we don't even get, that's not even episode 1. Yeah. That literally happened all before. So just anime wise, curious,
because this is like, like I said, dude, I gotta be honest. Up until now, I was like, all right, this feels like pretty like, like they pushed along. But I'm like, God, high school was like just all over the place. I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know which one I would rate worse, to be honest. Like, this was just so, it was so boring. this shit, like, honestly, bro, like, 2 out of 10. And that 2 is like for Frankie and Ryan.
Ninjas are samurais, blazing the kunais. Find me in the leaf of the cloud, screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls though, who like seeing parts fly.